Hi everybody, how are you? This is Mike Andrew. I promise I'm going to get back to providing short videos with practical insights as it applies to business and leadership. But my last two videos, I focused on being an American executive, having lived in the Middle East, and still do, for the last 11 years. And those videos, particularly the first one, took off crazy. Very well received, a lot of reaction, and people have asked me to continue. So this is my third video around being an American living and working in the Middle East. These last 6 years in Saudi Arabia and the first 5 years in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So let me tell you a story. I started, I was very career oriented when I was young. I, went to college, got 2 graduate degrees, and those graduate degrees I did it part-time in the evenings while working full-time. So I was pretty ambitious. And as I was establishing myself in a corporate career, I stopped and started my own consulting practice. And what an amazing experience that turned out to be. I mean, I had clients all over the world, my clients were Fortune 100 companies, and including McKinsey. And one of my first clients, back in 1995, I was contracted out by a very, very well-known global consulting firm, and they said, Mike, we have a big project in United Arab Emirates. Are you interested? Well, I had heard of United Arab Emirates, and they said, you'll be spending half the time in Dubai and half the time in Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure if I knew what Abu Dhabi and Dubai was at that time, but being a typical American and hearing what we hear in the media, my very first question to this consulting firm was, is it safe? Will I be safe out there? Well, it turns out I was amazingly safe. It's safer there than it is any place that I've ever experienced, so wonderfully safe. So that was the start of my journey working for this consulting firm, and eventually I went back out a couple of times as a consultant for them. And then in 2009, they offered me a job to be a vice president for them. But here's the situation. With when I started my consulting practice, I exceeded my best case scenario. It was crazy. I never dreamed I would do something like this. I was able to build a beautiful dream home on a lake 2 hours north of Boston, and with the 180-degree view of the lake, right on the lake, and mountains in the background. But that was my best case scenario. But you know what? I experienced the worst case scenario. I lost it all. I lost everything. Because after 9/11, the economy crashed, and the type of work that I did crashes pretty quickly when the economy crashes. So I was desperately, I hung in there probably too long, because little by little the work was disappearing because of the economy. So now I realized I had to go back to the corporate world. And here's the thing, in the United States, with my experience, my education, I couldn't even get an interview. I was too old. Now, they didn't say I was too old, but it was obvious I was too old. HR in the US says they don't discriminate with age. They do. And that's been my experience. So I couldn't find a job. One company finally hired me. And from the day, a high-tech company, from the day I started, month after month, quarter after quarter, the financials crashed. And one day, after 18 months, everybody got laid off. Now I'm desperate again. I've got no work, no money coming in. And out of the clear blue, I get a call from Abu Dhabi, my old client, and at this one they offered me the vice president role. So I always say that the Middle East saved me, not the United States. The United States gave me a good big training ground, but the United States wouldn't let me work anymore. I was too old. Middle East, they didn't care how old I was, could care less. What they cared about was the relationship, the experience that I brought, the capabilities that I had, and the value that I can bring to the company. And they did so with such a welcoming attitude and treating me so respectfully. So here I am, 66 years old today, still working at the senior levels. They don't care about my age. They care about the relationship and the work that I do. And what an incredible experience that has been. I've worked at boards as a board advisor, worked at CEO teams, and as a VP for that other company, and yet I couldn't get these opportunities in the U.S. because age discrimination. They don't admit it, but that's what it was. This isn't a sob story. This is a great story. So don't get the wrong impression. Now, let me go back to the way of life here in the Middle East. I've talked about it in the previous video, so I don't want to repeat too much. But let me talk first of all around their culture. The culture here is based on their religion. And they have a series of teachings from their religion, from the Quran, and these teachings are called the Hadith. And there's many of them, and one of them is all about kindness, being kind. In fact, when you see people in the street, you don't know each other, they will say, Salam alaikum. That means, peace be with you. Kind, very kind, whether they know you or not. I talked about the family in previous videos. Family's critical here. It's beautiful to see the families in the malls and having picnics on weekends or at night in the parks. And the Hadith, or the teachings, tells you that be kind to your wife. Be kind to your wife. And that the most important person in the family is the mother. The next most important is the mother, and the next most important is the mother. I've mentioned that before. Then comes the father. And the children, you don't see children talking back to their mother and father. The children respect the mother and father. The family unit is just amazing to see consistently. And charity. Their life, their teachings is all about being charitable. And what that means is something as simple as smiling at another person or picking up a piece of litter on the sidewalk and just doing simple good deeds on a day-to-day basis. I'm the beneficiary of that. I've been the beneficiary of many good deeds of generosity, hospitality, and being treated with respect. That's why the Middle East saved me. Life out here, my life has been better as a result of my 11 years in the Middle East. And they still employ me nicely, regardless of, they could care less about my age. All they care about is the relationship. They value the relationship and the knowledge and skills and experiences you bring and the contribution and value you can bring to the company. That's what it's all about, and that's what I'm very, very grateful for. So that's how I want to end this video. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again.